Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. Yes, somehow I am still kicking after being up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I have not napped. I got up, I did all my WandaVision stuff, had a regular work day. I never left home, but, then, kind of chilled, got some dinner or whatever. And I'm flipping, through the streaming services, and I'm like, it's Friday, someone's probably got something new up. And I hit Netflix, and this movie pops up on the front page, and I'm like, ooh, Rosamund Pike. I like her a lot. So I let the trailer start. And the trailer's interesting. It looks like this kind of dark comedy thriller thing going on. I'm like, all right, I could maybe be in on this. And I saw that, I think the movie, and maybe she did, I'm not positive, but there were Golden Globe nominations involved with the film. So I'm like, all right, it's getting some good buzz. And then Peter Dinklage walks onto the screen in the trailer, and he's got this little man ponytail thing going on up here, and he looks kind of like a crime boss. And I'm like, oh, I'm in. I stopped the trailer and I just hit play. And I tell you, I'm real glad I did. What are we talking about? Why don't you pull up a chair? Take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in, spoiler-free, into I Care a Lot. Now, as I said, it's a Netflix movie that features Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage. And the movie, like I said, was interesting. When I was watching the trailer, I was intrigued at this concept. Now, I don't know if this has happened in the world or not. I would assume that it probably has, because there's a lot of shady things that go on in the world. But if it hasn't, movie definitely poses plausible reasons where you could see how you could take advantage of this system. And that's not the health, I guess it would fall under the healthcare system, but it's, when elderly people are unable to care for themselves and they don't have family members or anyone who'll step up to care for them, they get placed into the custody of a legal guardian. And that legal guardian is then, the person who the court trusts to make the correct decisions to make sure that the elderly person is taken care of for the rest of their lives. What Rosamund Pike's character does, though, is she, does that, but also pinpoints, marks, basically. She'll go to, the doctor's office and be like, what do you got for me? Who is trending like they could maybe not be able to care for themselves and they got some money. And then she comes in, I guess basically you can have an expedited emergency court hearing where the person that's being discussed doesn't even have to be there. If it passes, then your legal guardian just shows up at your house while you're just doing whatever. The main woman that we kind of see her do this to in the movie, you see her get up, she goes to the store, she goes to her aquatic aerobics class. She's a fully functioning, elderly person. She's just, she's gotten a little forgetful. And they come in, and the next thing you know, it's well, if you don't come with me, cops are right there. If you're going to appeal this, that's fine. You can do that from the hospital. Come with us. And they basically trap them in a home and then siphon them for money. Basically, they sell the house, auction off all of their stuff, anything that's valuable. They get money for it. They put that in an account, which they then use to care for the person, but also make themselves filthy rich. And I saw that, and I was like, that's, one, horrible. Terrible. But, interesting if you're going to go down the dark comedy thriller route. And the way they tie in the thriller angles kind of ends up pitting Rosamund Pike against Mr. Peter Dinklage. And as I said, Dinklage is a crime boss. He is a Russian with no Russian accent. So I'm assuming he's Russian-American, probably grew up with a Russian family, now is kind of in charge. So no accent, whatever. I'll let it slide because his performance is fantastic. But he is kind of this Russian mob boss, basically. And he's not a good guy either. They set up some things and show us some things, and the dealings that he's into where you're like, that's a bad person. And that creates a conundrum right away because you have two characters. Your main character, you hate, and you were supposed to hate Rosamund Pike. And she is so good at making you hate her. She's excellent the whole movie, man. She is so cool and smooth and in a courtroom, I would imagine hard to ever beat because she is good. And she is a woman where if you cross her, that coolness disappears for like scorched earth. Like she is. I mean, you look at that face and you tell me that you're not afraid to see what her eyes look like under there, man. She's a scary chick. And then on the opposite end, you have Dinklage, who's, also not a good guy. There is a sympathy, empathy card for his character based on how he's involved in the story. You love Peter Dinklage, so like naturally, I think you're just kind of drawn to want to root for him. But like I said, same thing, not a good person, and he is also excellent in this movie. Like you want to talk about chewing scenery, and in just like the most subtle of ways, like he is one of those like evil crime bosses who's gonna talk to you like this, and we're gonna be real calm and cool about what's going on. And when we're done talking, I'm going to kill you. And like that's the way he approaches it, and it is pitch perfect for the character. And then watch his face, man. He's got these little tics and facial expressions that he clicks in there for the character that just sync up so perfectly. And then he also has like a gold tooth, and the way he just kind of shows it off every once in a while, like it seems intentional. And he is just so freaking good. But it is a conundrum to have these two characters and performances that you love to watch, and these two actors that you love to watch perform, but characters that you don't really necessarily like, or, like I said, aren't good. And this is where the genius of director Jay Blakeson comes in. From the directing standpoint, if you've ever seen a Safdie Brothers movie, Good Times, or Uncut Gems, Blakeson captures a vibe that's very similar to that, to the point where I was like, did the Safdie brothers produce this or have something to do with this movie? It's that kind of grit, the grain to the film and the grittiness of what you're getting into in the movie. And some of the lighting and stuff, too, totally fits that vibe. I'm not saying that's a ripoff of the Safdie brothers, but it's definitely a movie that can live in that zone. So, like, if you like their stuff, I think you're going to like this movie from the directing standpoint. And what they do with the camera work, like I said, the lighting, there's some wonderfully lit sequences where you have, like the way this poster has been, like an all red background with the I love the way they use lighting in the movie and where they get the camera. And the pacing is great. It is a dark comedy, yes, but it is a thriller. And you have this really solid pace that just kind of picks up every once in a while, and that worked for me. And then the score, that was the other thing. The score also, the synths and kind of electronica sound to the score also kind of reminded me of the types of scores that might be in a Safdie Brothers movie. And from that standpoint, like this dark comedy and this thriller element work really, really well. But the genius of Jay Blakeson is this script. Because like I said, you have this conundrum of two characters that are bad. Neither is good. One you definitely hate, and the other you're like, I get where you're coming from, and what you do in your business, you'll probably get yours at some point anyway. So it's like, who do you go with? And what's interesting is the way the movie goes, depending on who you're pulling for. I think in either camp, like the movie swings back and forth. It's a nice game of cat and mouse. And I won't lie, there are moments that are irritating. Like there are certain things that certain people should be really good at, and no one seems to be good at in the movie. But like I said, just the way that the story goes, and who you're getting behind or pulling for, even though you're not really pulling for anybody because they're all so bad. I was in and out of the movie the whole time. Like for a stretch, I'd be like, this movie is really, really good. Then I'd be like, I don't know if it's gonna be able to sit. Like it's writing itself to a place that I'm like, I'm probably not gonna like by the end, but it's really good. I don't know. And you get to the end. The end hits, and it works. It's one of those things where I wasn't like super satisfied, but I was like, that's clever, like, and deserved. Like based on the things that have happened, that was earned, and it's a clever thing to earn. But I wasn't like fully satisfied. And then the last 5 minutes of the film happens. And the last 5 minutes of the film are so good that it not only, like anywhere I was out on the film, if you go back and think about it, I'm now in on the film the whole way. I think this movie is brilliant because that last 5 minutes just hit all the things that it needed to hit to make this movie work. And once the movie worked, then I was like even more intrigued about like what it's talking about as far as like, the healthcare system or systems that can be taken advantage of by capitalists and people who have the means and know how to cheat the system. And I kind of was digging what it had to say there, as well as, just crafting a decent thriller, between two people who were just trying to be the one that wins, more or less. And the other thing, too, that really works in the movie is the supporting cast. You have Eliza Gonzalez, who plays Fran. That is Rosamund Pike's partner. And Rosamund Pike's character is named Marla Grayson. I should probably throw the names of the characters out there. So Grayson and Fran work together. They're kind of like the 1 and 2 of this company. They're making money hand over fist. And while Gonzalez doesn't have a ton to do here, she certainly takes advantage of every moment she gets on screen. And she is good. And she really supports Pike's character in a way that just kind of elevates that performance as well. Then you have Diane Wiest, who plays Jennifer Peterson. That is our elderly woman who gets placed into the care facility, and she is also phenomenal. Like I said, totally coherent, totally able to take care of herself. And then the next time you see her after she's been in that hospital a little bit, based on the meds and things they're giving her, seems like she's starting to lose it, like she's, like, you can almost see, like, they're bringing the dementia on to a degree, just the way that she's acting. She's kind of not totally there, and you can tell the drugs have an effect on her. But when she gets lucid, you want to talk about her scorched earth? I would not mess with Jennifer Peterson, man. When she gets lucid, the back and forth between her and Pike, almost as good as the back and forth between Pike and Dinklage. And then, you have Chris Messina, who also pops up as a lawyer who gets involved in this story. He's wonderful. Only at the beginning of the movie, and when he pops in, though, eats up the screen, man. He's so good, and he's like the type of lawyer where he comes in and you're like, yes, bury this woman. And then, like I said, she is a lion in the courtroom, and like when she shames this dude, you're like, oh damn, she is good and she is diabolical, and this movie is good and diabolical, and I really dug it. Like I said, I was iffy only on the script. The filmmaking and the directing is fantastic, the pace is good, your score is great, your performances are fantastic, but I was wavering on the story. And I'm so impressed with the way in which Blakeson wraps this thing up, where I was just like, well done, sir. I really liked your movie. So those are all my thoughts on I Care a Lot. Really nice surprise. I had no clue what this movie was. I didn't know anything about it until I put Netflix on, and I'm glad I threw it on. I'm glad it was the front tile. I'm glad I saw it. This is for me, it was a really good movie. I could see this movie not working for everybody. Because like I said, you have characters that you really do not like while you really are liking the performances. It's a strange place to be for a whole movie. And like I said, some of those swings get a little bit out of range of where you want to be. But I think if the end works for you, you're going to really dig this movie. And like I said, if you like Safdie Brothers films, Blakeson finds a lane that's parallel to that. So it's a realm that I'm like, I could totally watch this movie anytime it's on, and I'll probably finish it. So those are all my thoughts on I Care a Lot. Now I want to know what you're thinking. Did you stumble across this when it popped up on Netflix today? Did you know about the movie? Like I said, did you stumble across it? If you checked it out, what'd you think? Like I said, keep it spoiler free, but this is definitely a movie that, like, depending on where you land and how it takes itself, works or doesn't. So if it's working for you, what was? Was it the dark humor? Was it the thriller stuff? Was it the ending? If it's not working, was it the dark humor? Was it like, what were the things? I could see the story elements maybe not working for some people, because it's tough to watch what happens, to Diane Wiest's character. So good, bad, indifferent, anything you got to say about I Care a Lot goes down below. If you haven't seen the movie, have we enticed you? Are you going to check it out? Is this something that you think might be in your wheelhouse? Leave it all down there. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you do, you want to come hang out with the old C-Man anytime we're talking movies, trailers, TV, You want to be here for the rest of WandaVision? We got 2 weeks left, and looks like it's picking up steam to sprint home. You want to be here for all that? You just want to show a little love, support the old C-Man like what I'm doing over here, and you haven't yet? Well, I urge you, come join the C-Maniac Nation, man. Jump over there, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell if you want those alerts. If not, hope you come on back, and give us another go. And until next time, for the C-Man's Cinema, I've been the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Well, that's all live and breathe. You still here? Check out a video like this one, or this one, and hit the subscribe button so you can get alerts and check out everything the C-Man's got at the Cinema Sit Down.